discussing, I will email it out to y'all. So it is recording. So y'all will have an actual recording of this training along with the presentation. So let me go ahead and make this larger for y'all. So once again, welcome to access today's presentation. The link is right there for you guys. So tinyurl.com/EBR Google Classroom. So if you would like to have, maybe you have a separate device like a desktop or laptop or an iPad or even a phone, you can type that link in and follow along if you would like to, but I'll have it on my screen and you should all hopefully see my screen. If not, let me know in the chat box. Please remain muted to avoid any noise feedback. If y'all have any questions, post them in the chat box. I'm going to pause throughout and take questions and answer any concerns that y'all have. If you cannot hear me right now, I placed in the chat box a little help thing for you to troubleshoot on your side because it's a speaker issue. You'll have to choose your speaker. So I just posted it again in the chat if you cannot hear what I'm saying right now. And once again, feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions. My name is Tahara Haney. So hello once again. It's great to see you guys all again virtually. Today we're going to talk about Google Classroom. So last time I met with you guys, we talked about Microsoft Teams. This actually yesterday, the IT department has released the video functioning inside of Google Classroom. So if you didn't think Microsoft Teams was for you, I understand. I completely get it. So you can now use Google Classroom and video chat with your students through that system. And I'm gonna show you guys how to do all of that today. So let's talk about how to even manage your learning environment. So regardless of what you decide to use, if you're gonna use Classroom or if you're gonna use Teams, it's up to you. We're not giving a mandate on what y'all should use. It's your preference. But always try to remind the students that your digital classroom is an extension of the physical classroom. So just kind of say, hey, y'all, just, remember that whatever you do in this virtual room or classroom will have real life consequences. Because sometimes kids, even adults, have trouble understanding that my digital virtual life will have real life consequences in real life. So you need to kind of just let them know that whatever you do on here, you're going to end up getting some kind of repercussions in real life once school, starts back and all of that. As a class, create norms on how to create with a digital learning environment. So you guys teach older kids. Elementary, not so much. I don't recommend people doing this for elementary, but middle and high, y'all teach that group. So I recommend once you put all of your students in your classroom or in your team, y'all coming together and creating norms on how to interact with it in a digital environment, or create your own and then tell them what they are. It's your preference. You can, of course, launch a video call. Like I said, that feature is now available in Google Classroom. So I'm going to show y'all how to launch that and how to use that platform. When you're in a video call, tell them and show them how to mute themselves, because that can really distract everyone else in the room. So just like the small little things that we may think are not that important. Ooh, that startled me. Hold on, let me mute. All right, there we go. All right, so I had to mute the person that came in. All right, so just like that. So that kind of scared me a second. So that could cause distractions and really throw you off of what you're teaching or what your students are discussing in your virtual classroom. So just be mindful that you review how to mute, because you can mute yourself before you even come into the actual room. So just kind of talking about those small things for your students. Miss Dr. Slan, I saw that you said lots of echoing on your ends. It's hard for you to understand what's being said. I recommend closing out and coming back in. Anyone else having an echo issue? Let me know in the chat box. Well, how about this? Y'all let me know if you can hear me perfectly right now. So just say yes in the chat box if you can hear me, great. If not, put no so I can see if it's my side or if it's your device. I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay. So yeah, Dr. Slan, I recommend possibly leaving and coming back in. It's probably your device itself. So I'm sorry, but I am recording this, Dr. Slan, and always I can do a one-on-one with you too, so don't worry about it. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so going back to launching a video call, having them mute, having them discuss how to use the chat feature, And then how I am right now, I have my laptop and I'm on my laptop presenting with you guys. And I have my desktop next to me and I have the chat box open. So then I can come in here and do my presentation, but then monitor my chat box without having to keep toggling back and forth across tabs. So just something for y'all to kind of think about on how to manage your learning environment. Our department has created some norms. And these norms are something that we have given, or we created as a district to give to you guys. So we have some for teachers and for families. So this basically covers, let me zoom in a little bit for y'all. This covers what to do before the conference, what to do during the conference, and after. So just making sure that your background isn't, you know, a little clanky in the back. Making sure your camera framing is perfect. Making sure your lighting is okay so that your students can see you. Wearing the appropriate clothing, not your PJs, you know, stuff like that. So we've created different little norms for you guys as well as our families on what they should do on their side to ensure that your video conferencing, if you decide to do that, is successful. And I have it hyperlinked in this presentation. And like I said, I'm going to send you all this recording and the presentation at the very end after everything's done processing for the recording. All right, getting back to this. So I am not a stay in the presentation kind of person. I like to delve into the live platform. So I'm going to stop right here using the presentation. And I'm going to go into the actual platform and show you guys how to create your classroom, how to use it, how to initiate your video calls, all of that. But just so that you know, this presentation is very explicit. I have little GIFs. As you can see on your screen, there's movable images that shows you how to do everything. And I have very, hopefully, in my opinion, very detailed directions and instructions on how to do everything. So use this for as a guide to create your classroom whenever you come to that point. I'm going to go ahead and leave my presentation and go ahead and get into the actual platform. So there are multiple ways to get to Google Classroom. I'm kind of a nerd and I memorize web addresses for whatever reason. So for me, I just type in classroom.google.com. So classroom.google.com is one way that you can get to it. I'm typing that into the chat box right now for you guys. The other way to get to it is when you're on like your Google homepage. So right now I'm on my Google homepage. In the right corner, there's this little 3x3 square that we call the waffle because it looks like a waffle. But Google calls it the app launcher. So if you want to get to Google Classroom without having to remember the actual web address, go to your Google homepage and click your app launcher. And depending on where it is in your app launcher, because everyone's different, mine's right there. Find it, click on it, and then you'll be brought to your Google Classroom homepage. And then, of course, the easiest way that you can get to it is just Googling the words Google Classroom. And it will pop up right there for you. So there's multiple ways to get to Google Classroom. So once again, you can Google the words Google Classroom, go to your app launcher, or type in the web address, which is classroom.google.com. Once you're there, you will see your classroom dashboard. And if you have been playing with Teams, you'll notice that it's fairly similar. You see all of the classrooms that you are a part of as a member or a student or as the main or co-teacher. So I have a lot of different ones on my dashboard. We have ones for district. I have ones that I've created just to practice with, etc. So they're all here for me to see at one glimpse. If I would like to create a brand new classroom, it's very easy. Over here in my right-hand corner, you have that plus sign. I'm going to click the plus sign, and as the teacher or as an employee of EBR, I have two choices. Students only have one. They only have join. They cannot create a class themselves. EBR employees have two choices, join and create. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And this little window will open up for me. I can now name my class. I can provide a section, a subject, and a room. The last three are not required. So if you don't really care about that extra information, don't worry about it. But right now, I'm going to only just call my class demo class and then hit create. It takes a second, about maybe not 30 seconds, no more than 30 seconds for it to create. But once it's done creating and it loads, you will be brought into your classroom. All right, so now I'm in my class. I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions so far, place them in the chat box for me. So remember, there's 3 ways to get to Google Classroom. You can go to your app launcher, just Google the words, Google Classroom, or type in the web address, classroom.google.com. So there's 3 ways to get, 3 easy ways to get to Google Classroom. And then once you're ready to create your class, hit the plus sign and then go to create. All right, I don't see any questions, so let's keep on moving. Once you're in your class, you will see your class homepage. And it gives you this old funky little thing. It's not my preference. I like, kind of cutesy things. They don't have that many choices, but you can change it. So I'm not a very athletic person. I don't want a little kayak or whatever, a canoe, whatever this is. So I may want to change it. So you can change your header, your theme up here. So in the corner of this box, it says select theme or upload photo. I can upload my own personalized photo, or I can choose a Google theme. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a theme. And they have different categories. So I taught ELA when I was a classroom teacher, so I'm going to choose English and history. And I'm a book nerd. I love to read, so I'm going to choose this one with the little book and the glasses, because I do wear glasses. And once it updates, it's going to pop up. There we go. So you can change your theme to kind of fit your learning, your content, whatever subject you teach, or just what you think is cute. It's up to you. You can change your theme. You can also, in the left-hand corner of the same box, you see your class name and then your class code. So remember earlier, about 3 minutes ago, I said the students will only see join class. They don't have the option to create. There are multiple ways to get your code, but the great thing is with Classroom, your code is right there when you come into your class. So all you have to do is come right here to where it says class code. You can highlight it, copy and paste it. You can make it larger if you would like to. It's up to you. But you can just simply come here and copy and paste or write down your code. So your code is right there. This page that we're currently on is called the stream homepage. It is basically just your homepage. So I typically tell teachers on this stream page, you can announce or place announcements there, or quick little welcome to the class. Don't forget your test is Friday, things like that. So you can post quick little announcements here. We'll come back and talk about this page. We have 3 other tabs: classwork, people, and grades. I'm gonna not talk about those just yet. I want to talk about your settings, because your settings are very important if you want to do the video call function inside of Classroom. So every single Google Classroom that you create or that you're a member of has its own settings. So I'm getting ready to go into my demo class settings. Whatever I change in those settings only applies to that class. It will not apply to other classrooms that I own or I'm a member of. So just be mindful of that. So to get to your settings, it's over here in my right-hand corner. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for y'all. There we go. It's right there, the little gear. Anytime you see that, that means settings. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on my gear to get into my class settings. And I'm gonna be brought to a page like this. So here's where I can go to rename my class. So maybe I misspelled class and I had 4 S's instead of 2. I can go here and change it if I would like to. I can go provide a class description. I can also come back here and add my section, my room, or my subjects. So that option is there for you guys. Underneath that details box, I have general. Remember I told you guys earlier, there is more than one way to find a class code or to access your class code. The first way is on your home page, your stream. The second way is under your settings. So under general, I have the option, let me zoom in a little bit, that says class code right here. So, and it gives me the exact same class code that I had on my home page. If I hit this little drop down, I get some extra options though. So maybe My class code just looks a little weird. It has too many O's and zeros, and it's a little too complicated. I can come here and reset that class code, and it will change and give me another code. I cannot create my own code. I can't have it be Diva 1234. That would be amazing, but I can't do that. I have to use what Google gives me. You can also copy your code, of course, make it larger, so display it for your students or for your users. And I can also turn my code off. So if I feel like my students have joined my class and I want to go ahead and disable my code, I can disable and turn that code off if I would like to, your preference. So that is the easier way to add your students. I'm going to show you guys the other way to add your students. There are 2 ways to add your students. Going back to my settings, underneath class code, you have your stream, how your stream looks. So I can decide if I would like to have my students post in my classroom and comments. I can also decide if I only want to be able to do that or if they should only comment. So you have a couple of extra kind of like settings that you can put into place for your students. When I was a classroom teacher, I taught 5th grade. That was my last classroom job. I taught middle school as well, but my last classroom job was 5th grade. When I had a Google Classroom for my students, I had it to where they could only comment because students will come on here and post all kind of crazy stuff. So, if you know your kids, because you know them the best, you're going to probably want to only have it to where they can only comment to what you post. This does not impact their work. So this is separate. So imagine a Facebook page, and I go to Facebook. I can post whatever I want to on Facebook, but if the man who owns Facebook, Mark, whatever his last name is, decides to limit me and have me only be able to comment, that means I cannot post my own things on here for everyone else to see. I can only comment to what everyone else posts. So you have some control in that part. I recommend only having your students comment or only having it to where you can post or comment. But once again, everyone knows their kids. So I'll leave that up to teachers. Underneath where you can control what your students are doing, you have an option to kind of control how your stream looks. This is super irrelevant. I really don't talk about this part, but I'm gonna just show y'all really fast. My class stream can look multiple ways. I can show attachments, I can show notifications, or I can hide everything. It's up to you what you want to see. I just keep it as what is on default, which is show condensed notifications. That's not important at all. But once you get more comfortable, you can come here and kind of fix it how you would like to see it. I like the show notifications selection, so that's just my preference. But they have 2 others you can choose from. This next button is show deleted items. I love that button because if I turn it on and any of my kids go into my Google Classroom and they comment something inappropriate and they delete it, thinking that I won't be able to see it, I can still see it if I have that button turned on. So I love that button. Like I said, I taught 5th grade. My 5th graders, they're a little wild sometimes. One of my kids came on to my classroom, typed just a simple little curse word, nothing too crazy, and he deleted it. His classmates saw it. I didn't see it. So they came and told me what he posted. Him thinking he got away with it and I didn't have any proof. Of course, he thought he was good as gold, but he was not. Because I had this button turned on, I could still see what he had posted. So on my side, it showed up with the scratch out through it. I can still read what it said, but it has like a little scratch out through it showing me that it was deleted by that student. So I like that little button, just keeping it on just to kind of, make sure the kids are following rules and all of that. You can keep that button on. This next button is how you guys can communicate with your parents. So Google has something called guardian summaries. You cannot, let me see how I can break this down. So you cannot add parents. You can add parents to your Google Classroom, but they cannot come in and see what y'all are doing. They will only get an email once a week, courtesy of Google, telling them what their child did and did not do. So let me show y'all an example. This is how the guardian summary looks. So if you decide to add parents to your Google Classroom, I think it's every Friday, Google will but email your parents an email recapping and summarizing what their child had to do, what was due, the deadline, was it turned in late, etc. So if you would like to have that function turned on, you can have it turned on, but you have to come here and toggle it on in your settings. So that option, it starts turned on, but it may be turned off. So it'll be kind of grayed out. Just simply click on it to turn it on, and it'll tell you what it is. So you do have that option. It's not the best option because it's just, to me, it's not that big of a line of communication, but it is a piece. It's a little small nugget for them to kind of look at and review. And if they have any questions, they can kind of follow up with you. But it's great to kind of have, just to kind of ensure that your parents are remaining knowledgeable about what's going on in your classroom. Under Guardian Summaries is this new button. This button was not here a week ago. So because of the whole distance education thing going on due to COVID-19, Google has decided to push out or to include a video chat function inside of their classroom. So Google Meet itself is not new. So Google Meet is a separate tool by Google, but it wasn't embedded inside of Google Classroom how it is now. I'm assuming they did that because they saw all these school districts not using Zoom because of security problems. So then they would jump to Microsoft Teams, which is how we did. We couldn't use it, so we jumped to Microsoft Teams. Now they released it for everyone, so it's available for everyone to use now. Question in the chat. I don't have or see Guardian Summaries. Okay, so that does happen every now and then. So if you are someone that you don't see the option for Guardian Summaries, like I have on my screen in settings, you're gonna have to put a help desk ticket in. That happens every blue moon, where a teacher doesn't have the option to send Guardian Summaries. So Mr. Ronald, I will email you myself at the end of the training with a link to submit a help desk ticket, and IT can turn it on for you. It happens every blue moon. It's not anything that you did. It's something that just happened in the system. So I'll email you myself the help desk ticket link for you to submit a help desk ticket for IT to look at your account and fix it for you. And someone is at home monitoring the help desk tickets, so IT, they're pretty quick with all of the tickets coming in, so they'll really get to you really fast. To get the classroom quick, okay, yes. So Mr. Ronald just said that he has a link on his desktop, so you could bookmark it if you want to get to it quick. I have a MacBook. I heard y'all talking about MacBooks earlier. I love MacBooks. I've only owned MacBooks for the past 7-8 years. So I am a MacBook user, so I do have the bookmark. I have the quick link on my desktop page, and I also have it, like I said, up here in my bookmark. So if I want to quickly access any of the Google themes, up here I have it bookmarked also. So it's multiple ways to get to Google Classroom. It's just you finding your preference. Thank you, Mr. Ronald, for that recommendation. I will email you. I wrote it down on the post-it. I'm going to email you after this training a help desk ticket. All right. So Google Meet. So Google Meet is like FaceTime for Google. So I have an iPhone. My husband has a Droid. We can't FaceTime. And so, let's say just one day if he ever wants to, if he goes out of town for work or whatever, and we want a video chat, he's gonna have to download the Google Meet app for us to video chat. So that's all this is. It's a FaceTime on steroids. It's very similar to Teams. But in order to turn it on for your classroom, you have to come to your settings and click Generate Meet Link. Once you click that, Google will give you a link that is now your personalized link for your video chats and your video conferences. This button right here underneath it says visible to students. I recommend, as a former classroom teacher and as a specialist, I recommend not having that turned on, because if it's turned on, I'm gonna show you guys how it looks. Let me go to my dashboard. If you decide to make it visible for your students, it will look like this. Let me turn it on for this one. They will be able to access your video chat at all hours of the day. And you're not gonna want that. So you see how right here, I have it turned on, I have it visible to students. It will live right there forever and ever and ever. And I don't want it to live right there because I don't want them to be in my video chat unattended. So you're gonna not want to show that unless you're ready for them to come together as a group and meet. So if it's like a Saturday afternoon, you're gonna want to have it turned off. But if you have a video scheduled with your students, maybe for Monday at 10:30, you're gonna want to come here and make it visible to your students. Once again, it is your preference, but we as a district are recommending that you guys don't show that until you're ready to have them actually come to your class. So remember to do that. Let me go back to the class. Here it is. To do that, underneath your Meet button where we were able to generate our code or our link, you have the option to turn that off, visible to students, or turn it on. If it's turned on, your students have access to your video chat link at all times. Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, doesn't matter. If it's turned off, they cannot access it unless you show it. Now, kids are smart. They use their powers for evil all the time. So if I was a kid, because I'm always trying to push the envelope. If I was a child, I would once you post it for our actual meeting, I would just either write this down or copy it and store it somewhere. So then I can just go and have a party by myself whenever I want to. If you are afraid of that happening, you can always come here and change your link every day if you want to, every other day, whatever you decide. I recommend every few days changing that so that your kids don't have access to the link all the time. So then now when they go to access your video chat, they have to get the new link to access it. They can't just write it down and share it to their cousin who goes to Brommer High. So just be mindful of those things because kids are very, very smart. So because you're going to eventually have to have it visible for them to join your actual video chat. Once it's visible, Sahara, me, I would have went and wrote it down because I just like to push the envelope just to see if I can do it. So then I'm writing it down and I pass it to my little sister who goes to Baton Rouge High for her to go in and access it on her side and see what we're doing in my class. So just be mindful of those things. Once again, you can come here and reset that code anytime you would like to. When you reset it, it gives you a brand new code, and that code is for you and your students in your classroom. And they can access it, and so can you. So remember, it's your decision to make it visible, completely up to you guys. I recommend not making it visible. This last part is not important because I don't like to talk about the grading function in here because it gives you more work. So we're not grading anything right now anyway, so it's kind of pointless. But for future references, if you wanted to have the gradebook function turned on, they do have a gradebook in Google Classroom where you can grade your students' assignments and, award points. So if it's 100 points, give them 90 points, etc. So you can, they do have a digital gradebook function in here. I don't recommend it because it doesn't sync to JCampus. So whenever school does get back into real life going on and stuff like that, and you have the gradebook function on and you're putting grades in, you still got to go to JCampus to put those same grades in again. So I don't want y'all to do double work. That's too much work for y'all. I don't recommend this function at all, but it is there for you guys to use. So if you would like to have it available, feel free to put your grades in, but just be mindful. You're going to have to go into JCampus and post your grades again. So you're doing double the work. So I don't recommend it. All right. Google rarely makes you save. If you are a Google user, you know that things save automatically in the Google universe. But anytime you are dealing with your settings, you have to hit save. So you'll notice, because I made some changes to my settings, my little save button has turned a color. I can now click save to go back to my home page. I'm going to pause. That was a lot of information. Any questions about your settings? So your settings is where you can go to change your code, to get your Google Meet video conference link to turn on your Guardian summaries. And if you would like to have your grades, decide how you would like your grades to show in your grade book. Any questions? Let me go turn on my Meet link for myself. Any questions about the settings function in Google Classroom? Give y'all about 10 more seconds to type in any questions. Or feel free to unmute yourself, because it's not like it's 1,000 people in here. Unmute yourself if you have any questions, and then I'll try to support you the best way I can. All right, if not, we're gonna go ahead and keep on moving so I can get y'all out on time. So we're almost done. The settings take the most time because there's so much stuff in your settings. But let's go ahead and move on to our tabs. So up here, we have 4 tabs, excuse me. You have grades, people, classwork, and stream. And like I said, I'm not gonna waste time on grades, but I'm gonna show y'all what it looks like, you know, from your point of view. If I hit the grades tab, it's blank right now because I don't have any students. But if I had students in my Google Classroom, all their names would be listed on the side. So let me show y'all what I mean. Let me go to this one. So I have a class, so this is my little sister, she goes to Mayfair Lab, and I have her in this classroom because I'm just giving her things to do while she's at home. And you'll see that I have her name right here, and then the things that I've assigned and given to her, they're listed up here. So it's like a digital grade book. Like I said, I don't recommend EBR teachers using this because it's double work. You gotta put the grades in here and then go to J Campus. I don't recommend it, but it's there for you guys to use. So any assignments or activities you post, they're gonna all list up here, and then all of your kids will list right there. So that's how it works. It's just a digital grade book. So I'm gonna move on from that and go to the one of the most important tabs, people. So next to grades, you have people. If you're ever trying to remember what does the people tab do, the people tab is where you add people. So any stakeholder, that means parents, any co-teachers, your administrators, and students to your team. So you'll see at the very top under teachers, you'll see your name. And next to teachers, you have a little plus sign. I can invite co-teachers to my classroom. So your principal, your AP, dean, specialist, they may want to be a co-teacher in your classroom to see what's going on, since we're in this distance education kind of setup right now. So that's how you would add them. Do not add your principal, AP. Don't add any adults as a student to your Google Classroom. There's no point to do that. Add them as a co-teacher. Just simply type in their email address or their name, pops up, and then hit invite, and then they will be invited to become a co-teacher to your classroom. You can always delete people also. So maybe I did the wrong person, or I want to remove Nikki from my team or from my classroom. Next to her name, there's 3 dots right there. If I click the 3 dots, I can now remove her, and she will be removed from my classroom. Any co-teachers that you add to your classroom, they will receive an email from Google saying Sahara Haney or Bobby Brown or James Brown have added you as a teacher to their classroom. So they will be notified about it, and they'll see it when they log into Google Classroom also. Now, your students. Underneath teachers, you have a tab for students and the same little plus sign right there. If I click that plus sign, I can now invite my students. So remember earlier, I mentioned you can add your students by the code. The other way is by inviting them via email. Since we're not together in an actual physical space, a brick and mortar classroom, I recommend adding your kids using their email addresses. So all students in EBR pre-K to 12 have email addresses. Only 11th and 12th grade have functioning working email addresses, but all of our other kids, their email address is their username, basically. So if I want to add a student, let me add Nikki. So let's pretend like Nikki is a student. I will type in her email address and then find her right there. Click invite, and then she's now invited to be a part of my classroom. Now, the only thing is, once you invite your students on your side, they're going to have to accept it. So if you have a way to communicate with your students right now, you can either call home or send it through Remind or whatever the case may be. Give them the code and have them join your class that way, because they automatically join your class with the code. So remember, there's 2 ways to add students. Either coming to your people tab next to students, clicking the little plus person sign, and then typing in their email address. That's one way. The other way is, remember on your stream, you have that class code right there. You can share that with them also. So it's fairly similar to Microsoft Teams, but those are the only 2 ways that you have. Class code you add them in manually. Sorry, my brain went blank. So those are the 2 ways, the code or you adding them in yourself. Once you have students in your classroom, next to their names, you will see a button that says Invite Guardians. That is where you go to invite your parents. So remember that guardian summary I showed y'all at the very beginning? If you want your parents to receive those summaries, you're going to come to your people tab, and next to all of your kids' names, they have the button that says Invite Guardians. Click Invite Guardians, and you can now invite your students' guardians. You can add as many guardians that you would like. You can add Momo, Papa, Auntie, Grandma, Stepdad, Stepmom. It doesn't matter. There's no limit on how many people can be a guardian in your Google Classroom, to my knowledge. So if they have a lot of family members and they all want to be a part of it, go ahead and add them. Once you click invite, that person will receive an email saying Sahara Haney has invited you to be a guardian or whatever to her classroom. Once they approve it, they're a part of your class. So you see right here how it says invited. That means I invited that person that parent to my actual class. So now on their side, once they go and they actually accept it, it will go away. So I'm accepting it on my side because it's my email address. Once it comes up, refreshing and see if it's gonna come up. But it does show you, it hasn't come up yet. It will show you that yes, this child's parent or guardian did approve your request. So then you can now see if you need to follow up with that person or reach out and say, hey, I sent you a request to join my classroom so that you can see what's going on with your student or with your child. Please go to your email and approve it. So I'm going to show you guys and take a screenshot of how it looks on the parent side. I'm going to put it in the chat. So you'll notice, I'm adding it to the chat right now, that once you add a parent, the parent receives an email. And this email looks just like this. It's going to be in the chat right now. It's adding right now. It's just taking us 1,000 years. All right. So I just placed it in the chat. Your parent will receive an email just like that, where they have to actually accept it. Once they hit accept, it will allow them to now receive those guardian summaries. So just because you send it to them does not mean they get it automatically. They have to actually accept your invitation. And then they can choose how often they want to receive their updates. So every day, weekly, whatever the case may be, what time, all of that. And as you can see, I accepted it. So the invitation, the invited little thing right there is now gone. So it kind of keeps you, knowledgeable of who's been added, who has not been added to your classrooms. That's how you email. That's how you add your guardians. This button right here is very tricky because I think I get emails probably a couple of times a week about this button. If I click that button, it will not do anything at all because we don't have Gmail in our district. So if I hit email all guardians, that button will not go anywhere. It's disabled. So don't worry about clicking that. You can't click that button at all. All right, any questions on how to add people to your team? We've done grades, we did settings, and we did people.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yes. I have one. Okay, so You said the email address is the username?
Yeah, so the email address is their username at ebrschools.org. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I have to add at ebrschools.org.
Yes.
That's why I'm not
Yes,
getting
sir.
it.
Yes, so you have to add that part. All right, that's a good question. Any other questions, you guys? And I do have this in the presentation. So I have it to where right here. There's 2 ways to add students, either give them the code or enter them in manually using their EBR credentials. So James Brown, his would be JB12345 at ebrschools.org. So his username plus the ending part at ebrschools.org. All right, let's go ahead and keep on moving. Most important tab I think everyone is, focused on is classwork. So I'm going to go to my next tab. My next tab, let me go back to my demo class, Lord. Oh no, I'm gonna keep that one open. Let me go to another tab. So in my classwork tab, or on my classwork tab, is where I can go to add and create assignments. So when you click classwork, you're gonna see your create button right there. If you click create, you get some options. You guys probably don't have Cami assignment. Don't worry about that. That's something that I added to my accounts. But you will have assignments, quiz assignment, question, material, and reuse, and topic. You will have those. Assignment is anything besides a quiz. So if it's a collaborative activity, an essay, whatever the case may be, a scavenger hunt, a web hunt, or whatever, that's there for y'all. Quiz assignment is a quiz, and you're going to use Google Forms to create it. Question is you just posing one question. It could be either multiple choice or short answer. So maybe an exit ticket or an entry ticket, a bell ringer of sorts. Material are things that you want them to reference. So like maybe if you teach math, a reference sheet. If you teach ELA, maybe a list of character traits or whatever the case may be for that. We use posts. You can pull any post from the past or from your other classrooms and put it in here. And then topic allows you to organize your assignments. Like, for example, in this classroom, I have a topic of ELA. I have a topic of Genius Hour. So I have these things organized in different topics. You can have a week 1 topic, or April 20th to the 24th topic, or module 5 in Eureka Math, whatever the case may be. You can have different topics to organize your work in your classrooms. I'm going to go ahead and create a new assignment. So go to create, and then you're going to go to assignment, and this window opens up for you. You're going to have to give it a title. So I'm going to call this practice assignment. And you should provide instructions, but it's not required. So you can provide instructions right there for yourself. Underneath your instructions is where you can attach items. So if I go to add, I can attach something from my Google Drive. I can send them to a website for them to review or to create or to complete something. I can attach something from my computer or a YouTube video. So maybe I want my kids to watch this Eureka Math video on YouTube. I'm gonna come to my add button, go to YouTube, and then I can type in Eureka Math module 5. And of course I would want to put the grade. I'm gonna just go with grade 5. And then click add. And then now when they come on, they will see this video right here for them to watch, and whatever else I'll have them do, answer questions, whatever the case is. I can also, like I said, attach a link. So under add and link, I may want to attach Edgenuity to this. So maybe I have an Edgenuity lesson for them to complete. I can copy that link and paste it right here. So I'm gonna just do Brain Pop, for example. If I want them to go watch a Brain Pop video or go and do a Brain Pop activity, when the children come into my actual classroom and they click on it, it will open up directly for them. So you can attach your Edgenuity lessons here. If you're going to use Nearpod for a lesson, you can attach that here as well. So you can do videos, links, or actual documents or files. If you want to pull something from your Google Drive, you're going to click the Google Drive button, and your entire Google Drive will open up for you. So maybe I want my students to look at this document in my Drive, this Google Doc, and do something with it. When I attach a Google item, I get this little drop down. Let me zoom in some. I get this drop down. It defaults to view file, but I have some extra options if I hit my little drop down. View file means my students can only go and read the file. They cannot do anything. They can't type on it. They can't underline, highlight. They can't do nothing but look at it and read it. So if you teach ELA and you want to give them a passage to read, that's a great option right there. Students can edit file means all 21 of my students in my classroom will have access to one file, and they can all come together and collaborate on that one file. So maybe you want to do a group thinking map. You can have them all come onto that one thinking map and have them edit and make changes to that thinking map. The last one is what I think most educators use, which is the make a copy for each student button. If I click that, that means all 21 of my kids will have their own copy of whatever I just attached to this assignment. So maybe I want them to have a complete a quiz or a worksheet. I'm gonna want to make a copy for each student so that they're not looking at their classmates' answers, and they have their own copy of the item. So it's equivalent to me going to my school's copier machine and running copies and using my points. Same thing, but it's just no points involved. It's free. So that option is there when you attach anything from Google. If you don't have anything created right now, you need to create it from scratch. Next to the add button, you have create. If I hit create, I can now create a brand new doc. Slides, so slides is like PowerPoint in Google. Sheets is Excel in Google. Drawings is like throwback. I'm not sure if y'all don't know what this is. I'm sure y'all do, but like the throwback paint on Microsoft Word, like the old school paint is like that. It's drawings. And then Google Forms is like your surveys and quizzes. So I can create brand new of these items right here. So I can attach something that I already have, or I can create it from brand new. Over here, and we're almost done over here, are where I like to kind of tell everyone, because people don't know about this part. And I think this is very meaningful if you teach secondary and you have the same block across all your classes. So maybe you teach ELA and you have the same classes, like the same content across all your classes. And you don't want to have to go to one Google Classroom, type it, post it, go to your next Google Classroom, type it, post it, go to the next one, do the same thing over and over again. Before you assign any of your work, over here in the right-hand corner, there's an area that says 4. If I come to this drop down that says 4, I can now send this assignment to any of my other classrooms with one click, and that's it. Without me having to go to this one, post it, go to the next one, post it, go to the next one, post it. I can come to this one that I'm creating it in, check it off to the ones I want it to go to. And then when I click off, it's going to go and post to all 4 classes whenever I click assign. So I like that little feature. I'm going to uncheck these before I forget. If you only want to go to one class, though, you can differentiate in your class. So if you want to differentiate for your students, next to your drop down, there's a button there's a little thing, another drop down that says all students. If I hit all students, I don't have any kids. Let me go to another one. Go to one that I actually have kids in. Give me 1 second. So if I would like to, there we go. Let me make this larger. So this is the one for principals. So if I'm in this one and I want to assign this to specific principals, not all of them, maybe only elementary principals, I can uncheck all students and then now only check off the principals that I want to see this assignment. So that's an easy way to differentiate for your students. Now, of course, you have to have kids in your classroom. That's why I couldn't do it in this one because I don't have any students. This one I do. So I can come here and differentiate for all of my students right there. That's a really easy way to differentiate. I can assign points, so 25 points, 100 points, 1,000 points. I can also assign due dates. I love this because I taught middle school and I had 5 blocks of the same thing back to back to back. Bobby might come in from 7th block into my 3rd block. and give me a late assignment and I forget to mark it late, so he ends up getting full credit. Then it's not gonna happen no more. I can now come here and mark in a due date and a time. So that means automatically at whatever day and time I set, Google will mark it late for me. So I don't have to guess, did Bobby turn his stuff in on time or did he turn it in late? I can also, like I said, organize it into a topic. So I can just do April 20th to April 24th. And then I can also attach a rubric. So if you have a rubric already created that you use on a everyday basis, you can also attach a rubric to your assignments for your students to see. And then this last button is new this year. They only give you 3, so it's not like spectacular, but it's great for if you teach ELA and you feel like your kids are plagiarizing or copying and pasting their answers. You can come here and check off this. And it tells you only have 3 that you can use it with. So just be mindful. But you can have this turned on. So then Google will check for plagiarism in the students' essays or their answers. So it's a really cool feature. And it's free. So, hey. And then once I click assign, my assignment will post on my wall. Once it's done, taking 1,000 years. There we go. So you'll see my assignment right there, my little topic. It says right there, it tells the kid that it's due on this day. And when they click on it, I can now see all of my attachments right there. So then the children will see their attachments and their activities, and they will just simply come here and type in response. If we are allowing a makeup day, but already had already assigned a due date with grade points, how does that work? Oh, so you're gonna want to just be mindful of that. So you won't be able to go in and say and like offer more than one due date. Mr. Ronald, you could post another assignment and only make it viewable for those kids that you gave a makeup day to, possibly, and then have them have access to that makeup assignment. So then only those kids can see that assignment. But then of course you can't go back. Like I said, you can't have multiple due dates for one item. Once you have a due date, that's the due date for that item. So like I said, you can differentiate. So if you give Bobby, Susie, and Jessica an extra couple of days to make up their work, you can give them an assignment only those 3 kids can see. Hope that helps. That was a good question. The great thing about this is whenever I have an assignment, let me go to one. It will show me how many students, everything's going out of this classroom. It will show me how many students I assigned it to and how many students have turned it in. So for example, I only have 1 kid in this classroom, but it shows that I assigned 1 thing to her. And once she turns it in, my turned in button will turn 1 and then this will turn 0. So it tracks who turned it in for you. So you're not having to harass the whole class, just harass those few kids. Everyone gets a Google Calendar. It's right there. So if you want to have a Google Calendar to keep track of due dates, it's every class gets an actual calendar. And then your Meet button is right here. So if you would like to do a Meet video call, you're going to click that button and then your video call will initiate. And you'll notice that I can now do the same things that we can do in Teams. I can turn off my camera, turn it on. I can mute myself. I can share my screen. And then if I hit join now, we are now in our meeting together. So I can present my screen to my students. I have a chat box feature also. It's very, very similar to Microsoft Teams. So, and then the great thing is it shows everyone's face. So I know some people have been emailing me about I can only see 4 people at a time. You can see more people with Google Hangouts at one time. So that option is not, it's not a hindrance anymore. And you can see who all is in your meeting with you. So remember, if you have Google Meet turned on, the little button is right there for you. And it's also on your home page in your stream right there. So when you click on it, it goes straight to your meeting. Let me go back to this. There we go. It goes straight to your meeting. You have a chat box feature right there. You have your participant count right there. And then you can also end your call, present, and also record your meeting. So in the right-hand corner over here, if I click the little 3 dots, I can now record my meeting and post it for a reference for my kids or whatever. So it's the same features that are available in Microsoft Teams. I have a screenshot of all those items that I just talked about for Microsoft, for Google Meet right here. Oh, where did it go? It just went away. Hold on. There we go. All right, so I have a screenshot of all the things right here for y'all. So it shows you what all is included in your Microsoft Meet. Record, presents, how to have them join, all of that. And I also show you where it can be found on your stream or on the Classwork page. One thing to be mindful of that the district is trying to implement and to make sure everyone's doing is make sure that you're the first one in the room and the last one to leave. Because the kids, like I said, they smart. They're going to stay in the room and then have a party. So make sure that you're the first one in the meeting and the last one to leave the meeting, to make sure that no one's in there continuing to be foolish. All right, I'm gonna pause and about to wrap up in the next couple of minutes. Any questions about how to initiate a video call in Google Classroom or how to even make it work? All right. In trainings and introduction trainings, I only cover assignments. I don't cover the rest of them because it can get a little overwhelming. But please remember that you have other options right there that you can for your assignments. Ms. Dotson, did you turn it on in your settings? Remember, you have to go to your settings. And then towards the bottom of your screen in general, you're going to, oh, y'all on mute? Oh, no, I'm not on mute. We're also on mute. What you mean, Mr. Ronald?
Are we muted or unmuted? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, y'all can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Okay.
But hold on, but let me answer Ms. Dotson's question real fast. So Ms. Dotson, you can come to your settings and turn it on. You have to turn on your Meet. So just make sure you go to your settings and then go to Meet and generate your Meet link and see if that works. Let me know.
She may not have that. Like I don't have that on my screen either.
You don't have Meet either?
No.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get y'all squared away. So I'm gonna email both of y'all the help desk ticket for y'all to submit a help desk ticket.
I had two questions.
Oh, Ms. Dotson, you do have it. So you have it, Ms. Dotson. Great. Okay, good. I'm sorry, Mr. Ronald. Go ahead.
Okay, so one question is, can we end the classroom setting? Can we just end it?
Like you talking about the Google?
Like when we're having a class and want to make sure everybody left the room?
Oh, yes. So whenever you click, when I go into the actual meeting, once I hang up, there it is. Once I hang up, it will end it. But just as a precaution, they just would like everyone to be the last person in. So just tell the kids to go ahead and hang up, wait till everyone's gone, and then you go ahead and hang up. Because remember, that video link is still active. So if the kids wanted to, stay in, quote unquote, stay in, and then kind of leave and come back in, they could. Just you stay in and then go and deactivate that link as soon as you can.
Okay, my last question is, I hope this is my last question, but
It's okay.
all right, so I have a student I'm trying to enter, Rayvon Barrow, and I enter her user name, and I entered it with at ebrschools.org, and then it says, it comes up on my screen, can't invite student from this domain.
And you're in your EBR account?
I think I am.
Double check. Were you able to add the other students, or you just started with her?
Haven't been able to add anybody.
Okay, so make sure that you're in your EBR account, because they protect our accounts like hardcore protect our stuff. So you can't. So people in EBR can't join someone else's outside Google Classroom. So make sure that you're in your EBR account and not in your personal account.
You mean like go through Clever?
You don't have to even do that. Just look in the right-hand corner. You look on my screen. Over here, if I hover over my picture, it'll tell me that I'm in S.Glasper1 at EBRschools.org. Does yours say at EBRschools.org?
I'm looking.
Okay, take your time. Take your time. Because I'm fairly confident that's what it is. Because if they're not letting you add a student in EBR, you must be in the incorrect account.
Show me where it says that on yours again.
Just hover. So let me zoom back out. So in the right-hand corner of your screen, or you know what, just go to google.com, and that's an easier way to find
mine
it.
says Google account.
So that's why, yeah, it swapped back to your personal Google account. So just sign into your EBR Schools account.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Ms. Dotson, I see. I added the Meet tab, but the Meet tab still isn't visible on the class page. Huh. Okay. Ms. Dotson, I know you're on your daughter's MacBook, so I don't want to challenge it too much. But if possible, could you take a screenshot of your home page and email it to me? My email address is in the chat box. Typing it right now.
Okay, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you really took me that time.
I'm sorry. Well, so ask your daughter to take a screenshot of her screen for you if she doesn't mind.
Okay, because what I did, because I'm actually watching you on hers, and I'm on it on another laptop. But what I did, I went in like you told me, and I went into settings. I turned it on, but I made.
Did you hit save before you left out your settings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it says Classroom now supports Meet. However, the tab still did not come up. Once I did save, I did not make it visible to students.
Okay, so that's why you don't see it, because it's not visible to students. You have to have that button turned on for you to see your link right there.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Try that. Let me know if that works.
Okay, let's try that. And then, excuse me, and yes, ma'am, it sure did.
All right,
now,
perfect.
That works great. So now, in order, because like you said, we never want to leave that on. So I will go back
and turn it back off.
And turn it back off.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem, Ms. Dotson. I'm glad I was able to solve the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, Classwork is where you can go and create all of your classwork, y'all. So everything lives right under this little page. There's other options right there for you guys to play with as you get more comfortable. But I recommend only sticking with the assignments. And if you're, Google Forms savvy, you can do a Google Form or quiz if you feel like you can, handle that. But it gets very detailed. So I may tell Ms. Dr. Slan to schedule something else later on in a couple of weeks or a couple of days or something like that. But Classwork is where you can assign classwork. Last page is your stream page. Remember, this is my home page. Is where I can see my class code. I can see my Meet link. Remember, if I have it turned off to where it's not visible, my Meet link will not be there. So don't freak out. It's just not there. Perfect, Mr. Ronald. So I'm glad everything got resolved. So you do see the Guardian summaries now, Mr. Ronald? Let me know.
Yes. Well,
Perfect.
I don't see Guardian. I see Meet though.
So the Guardian summary still isn't. It should be above the Meet function, the Meet feature. It's not there.
Right. It's not below deleted items or above Meet.
Okay. I'll send you the link.
Okay. But you said we don't have to use that function.
No, you don't. You don't have to.
Okay.
But I'll still send you the help desk ticket in case you decide later on that you want to get that fixed.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Remember, on your stream is your home page. I can just post a quick announcement. So right here, where it says share something with your class, I'm going to click there, and I can now do a quick little welcome message. There we go. I can also attach documents, links to websites, videos, or something from my computer. So it's the same kind of setup, but it's not an actual assignment. When I click post, when the kids log into my classroom, they will see my little announcement right there. And then you'll notice it also notifies the students that I posted a new assignment. So they see that I posted something right there as well. So when they click on that, it brings them to the assignment. So your home page to your streams, like your little notification center, is where you can go and kind of see announcements, upcoming due dates. So I have a due date right here, and any assignments that I've sent to my students. I went over 15 minutes, and I hate to go over time, so I apologize so very much, but I wanted to make sure I delved into this as much as I could. The presentation, I'm going to email this to y'all. I'm going to email y'all the recording, and it may take a while for the recording to process, so once the recording is processed, I'll send that to y'all along with the PowerPoint by tonight. So y'all will have all of this to refer to on your own. Any questions before I let y'all go?
Sahara, thank you so much for doing this for us. I'm
No
probably
problem.
the oldest one on this call, and I could not get you in at the beginning of this training, but once you send it to me, I'll study your PowerPoint.
And Dr. Sling, you have my number. Call me, text me. We can do one-on-one. Perfectly fine.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank y'all so much. Be safe. Stay healthy. If y'all need to contact me, my email address